Now, House Democrats don't want a private company to talk to a reporter that House Democrats don't approve of. So Biden's Federal Trade Commission launched an investigation.
On Tuesday, the majority released an 18-page report claiming to show that the FTC is, quote, harassing Twitter. Oh my, poor Twitter.
If Democrats can't own Twitter, no one can play with it. The federal government's crippling the free press. Oh my, poor free press. Democrats can't win elections fairly. They know they can't persuade voters their policies are better. So the only thing keeping them in power is collusion and censorship.
So I always find it absolutely hilarious when Republicans talk about Twitter and the Democrats in any type of way, even with the Twitter file leaks, all of those things. Because before Elon Musk took over, it was Republicans who were always complaining about Twitter, how they were getting canceled, how they can't say what they want. Then they moved over to Truth Social. They got all these different types of streaming platforms because people get kicked off of YouTube or kicked off of Twitch. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these alternative right-wing platforms that don't get any advertisement because, you know, all there is the N-word on there and everything, every ism, every hatred towards all these different groups, what have you. They're always complaining that they can't say that on Twitter. But then when Elon Musk took it over, he was supposed to be the great liberator of free speech. And then that didn't happen, and Republicans and right-wingers continued to complain. So anytime Republicans bring that up, it's just always so rich.
Democrats have always had a problem with journalists who report on their dirt. Remember Obama spied on a Fox News reporter back in 2010? Took his phone records, tracked his movement, even stole his emails. Biden must have been taking notes because the president sent the Federal Trade Commission after Elon Musk, demanding Musk rat on the journalists he worked with.
And then it's also hilarious when Republicans say things like, oh, well, Democrats don't know how to win fairly. If they can't do things fairly, they don't know what to do. They can't sell their policy ideas. Like, bro, let's run down the list of Republican policy proposals that are incredibly unpopular with the American people. The reversal of Roe v. Wade was incredibly unpopular with the American people. The tax proposal that Trump put forth was incredibly unpopular with the American people. Cutting Social Security and Medicare, which is a very common, consistent agenda of the Republican Party, extremely unpopular with the American people. They can say they don't want to do that all they want, but every week there's another Republican on CNBC saying, oh, we have to do this for the sake of our grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? And then let's we not forget that George W. Bush and Donald Trump lost the popular vote, but still won the election. And then it's the Republican Party who's put out hundreds of bills across the United States to try to outlaw things like, you know, early voting or mail-in voting, making it such that people can't pass out water bottles in line. You know, so again, and it's like, I'm not even a Democrat. I'm a registered independent. I don't have like, you know, outstanding admiration for the Democrats, but the Republican Party to say anything along these lines is just ridiculous.
They don't even understand what they're censoring. They don't even understand how Twitter works or who the reporters are who broke the story. Listen to this.
In your answer, you also said that you were invited by a friend, Barry Weiss.
My friend Barry Weiss.
So this friend works for Twitter, or what is her?
She's a journalist.
Sir, I didn't ask you a question. I'm now asking Mr. Schellenberger a question. Please
Yes, ma'am. Barry Weiss
interrupt.
is a journalist.
I'm sorry, sir?
She's a journalist.
She's a journalist. So you work in concert with her?
Yeah.
So you're in this as a threesome?
There was many more people involved than that.
It's more like an orgy. But anyway, Democrats got caught conspiring with the FBI and big tech to censor free speech and freedom of the press, and they're not even denying it.
Really consider this, right? The Republican Party as a whole, the establishment, is so unpopular that Donald Trump still runs it. Despite all the trouble he's gotten into, despite the years of evidence of him ripping people off, defrauding the tax system, or just lying about who he is and conning people in general, he's still more popular than even people like Ron DeSantis, you know, who's projected to be some type of frontrunner by a few people, but he hasn't even announced his campaign yet. And we've talked about here why I really don't think Ron DeSantis can beat Donald Trump in this election, because the whole primaries are going to be about Donald Trump. So he's naturally going to suck all the air out of the room. And if they're not willing to attack him on anything substantive, you know, especially something like January 6th, then they're not going to attack him on anything that's going to work whatsoever. Donald Trump owns the Republican Party because the Republican Party is so unpopular. Who else in the party is really saying, don't touch Social Security and Medicare. Even if he doesn't mean it, no one else is saying these types of things. Who else was talking about, returning manufacturing, domestic manufacturing? Who was talking about raising wages, doing things like making it so pharmaceutical companies can't rip us off? Donald Trump was talking about that, and he's going to continue to talk about it. But again, the Republican Party claiming that Democrats don't know how to be fair is absolutely hilarious.